We are proud to say that today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Fears Watches.
This hobby of ours goes well beyond the actual watches. It gives us a sense of community. Whether it be through local watch meetups or social media, there's a sense of inclusivity and belonging that this hobby ushers into our lives.
Fears Watches, a brand that we both respect and admire for their timepieces, is also one of the leading watch brands when it comes to nurturing this idea of community for watch lovers worldwide. As watch enthusiasts first, Fears has used social media to bring together collectors and aspiring owners all over the world, cultivating an environment of togetherness around watches.
Fears is now taking it a step further by revamping their Owners Club, launching a new website for the Fears Clubhouse. Originally launched 2 years ago, the Clubhouse is open to owners of any Fears timepiece built between 1846 and now, and it's completely free to join. Fears Clubhouse members receive access to exclusive events throughout the year, are able to shop at the club store, which often includes products that aren't even offered on the Fears website, and receive special discounts from partner brands.
If you're lucky enough to own a Fears watch, head over to www.fearsowners.club to check out what the Fears Owners Club is all about. And be sure to explore the entire Fears collection at www.fearswatches.com. Hey everyone, welcome to the 10 and 2 podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Catlin.
And we're here every week talking watches, photography, adventure, and exploring the world of horology. How's it going?
What's good? How are you doing, Kat?
I'm hanging in there.
You're officially in the new house.
I am. I'm officially in the new house, in the new closet, recording this episode because the podcast room is not quite set up yet. It's full of boxes.
Our studio game has really gone downhill lately.
Yeah. I'm sitting, we've got all these moving blankets, which is great because I can use them for this fort that I've built in here, which is really nice. But yeah, it's nice to be in the new house. It's been so stressful. This move has just been a disaster with the snow we had and then rain and just almost anything that could go wrong did. We've had a couple of issues and it's okay. We're here.
It's okay.
And
yeah,
slowly day by day, it's getting a little bit better. But
that's good.
I'm glad that it's over. I'm glad we're here.
Yeah. And for those of you who are really dedicated to keeping up with the weather here in Tennessee, because we talk about that quite a bit. Last time we recorded, we had a snow ice storm, snowpocalypse is what we call it.
Yeah.
And then 4 days later, it was 70 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. So welcome to Tennessee.
70 degrees today. I was sneezing like crazy outside.
It was so nice. Minus the rain.
Then we got hit with thunderstorms and tornado watches tonight, which was nice. So just all of the above.
Again, welcome to Tennessee.
Which I was telling you early, I got the alarm on my phone, the emergency alert goes off. And it wasn't for our county. It was Dixon County or whatever. And there's a tornado warning and just PTSD. My heart just started racing. And it was this time last year. Well, actually, tomorrow will be in March. And it was the first week of March, I think, that we got hit with that tornado. And it's scary. It's really scary. And so now I'm like, okay, new house. Where do I go? Where's the go-to place? I have to figure these things out really fast.
I love I don't love that you have the PTSD. Obviously. And I think our situations are a little different because my part of town, south of Nashville, we didn't have anything. So, but literally the tornado, I remember driving to your house maybe 3 days later and seeing all the destruction and the damage just right off the interstate, less than 5 minutes away from your house was absolutely insane. So yeah, definitely find your new hiding spot.
Yeah.
I don't know where, I guess mine would probably be the closet that I'm in.
Closets are good. Closets are definitely good.
Yeah.
If I could get into the crawl space, that would be a bonus. I don't think there's an easy way to get down there, but maybe we'll make a way. But yeah, I think the weather has passed, which is good. It seems very quiet outside, so I'm happy about that. Well, how have you been?
I've been okay. Kind of the same old. I don't know. I'm in a funk lately. I really am. I've got some personal stuff that's been going on, and I'm just
I
like
know
kind of,
work's been kind of crazy for you too.
oh my gosh, as work people listen to this podcast. But yes, work has been absolutely insane for a lot of different reasons. And I don't know. I feel like I don't know, maybe just need a break and, just kind of I don't know, getting out of my headspace for a
Mhm.
little while would be nice.
It's
But
hard. It's hard to get out of that
yeah.
sometimes,
Well, it's
and
hard because it's so nonstop, and
mhm.
it's like watches are literally and as it is for you, watches are now like literally every part of your life.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes when your work is watches, it can kind of take the joy out of like
Mhm.
your fun stuff being watches. Like the podcast is so fun, but also it's watches, and it just reminds me of my very stressful job right now. So
Yeah, I agree. I think that, back in the day, I used to go to watches as a release, as a, just a to get my mind off of other things, and now I don't do that anymore. I don't scroll. I
you
mean,
don't just browse forums on your day off anymore.
no, I don't. I kind of want to break from that, and things like reading, just actually like reading a book, and or just binging a show, just doing something to kind of get my mind off of things seems to work a little bit better. Oh, I discovered, so obviously the last few weeks have been just incredibly stressful, and I don't know if I
Mhm.
mentioned this on the other podcast we recorded, and I apologize if I did. I'm going to repeat myself. But I found something that really like soothes me and calms my mind, and it's these videos on Instagram where people are like, I don't know, you've seen some people like play with slime. It's not really slime, but like sometimes people will like shave off like a soap bar. It's just things
Oh,
that are like
yeah.
visually appealing, or someone
Yeah.
cutting a hedge and it's like perfectly trimmed, and
It's like OCD porn.
yes, exactly. And I find these videos, they like totally calm me down. I could be super stressed, go in a room, watch a couple of these videos, and I don't know why, like they calm me down. And yeah, they've kind of been a lifesaver the last few days to just like zone out for a few minutes. I'm not really
Yeah.
great at meditating. I wish I was. I can't. Like when I go into a quiet space, my mind just races. I cannot shut it off. And maybe I just don't know how to meditate well. I need some pro tips there. But yeah.
I don't know that I've ever just tried to meditate. I don't know. I've tried yoga a few
Well,
times, and I
yeah.
can't even
That's
relax through yoga,
yeah.
so
Oh, yoga is so
I don't
stressful.
think it's my thing. I can't sleep. I can't turn my mind off to sleep at night,
That's
so
true.
uh All right, 8 minutes in. Yeah, what's
Yeah.
on your wrist? Let's talk about watches a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I'm wearing the Seamaster again today. Put it back
Nice.
on the mesh, on the Milanese mesh that I have. That is from the Wind Up Shop that I really like, and I think a lot of other people have kind of liked this look as well. And it's yeah, I can't say enough about it. I know I've talked about it a million times, but it's just it's a great piece. It's a great watch. I've told myself that I kind of go back and forth because I think when the day comes that I get the Submariner, it'll come at some point. I believe it will. If you believe it, it'll
I have
happen, right?
faith.
Is that
Yeah,
the yeah?
exactly.
So I'm gonna believe it, and it will happen. And I don't know if I want to get rid of the Seamaster. Part of me thinks I probably won't wear it because I'll be wearing the Sub. But then it's so different than the Sub, and
Mhm.
it's just such a cool watch. Like every time I look down at it, I love it. So I don't know. It may stick around for a while.
So
Whatever.
I didn't even
What?
were you considering getting rid of the Seamaster
I
for the sub?
was. I was because I
Oh,
just
I
feel
didn't know
like
this.
it not that it's redundant because again, it's a
Uh-huh.
totally different watch, but
But how many dive watches do you really need?
well, and I don't have that many now. I basically have the Seamaster, and I've got a Manta on the way soon too, but I just don't know. And I guess I'll just kind of wait and see. Wait and see, play it
Yeah.
out, see if I actually wear it. If I don't, then I'll probably sell it. I'm not like emotionally attached to the Seamaster at all. Not the way that I am about like my DHS or even like my Oris or anything like that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how I feel about it.
Well, I love that now you have watches that you're emotionally attached to.
I do.
Because this was a
Finally.
thing for so long, is that you didn't have that feeling. You didn't have that attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does it makes a little bit of a difference, when you look down at a watch, and it's not just a watch you got like, you got it at a great price or you got it just to get it, whatever. But like
Mhm.
when it actually means something to you and it celebrates something in your life.
Absolutely.
That being said, I don't want to have to wait to buy my watches. So I'm a hypocrite. I understand that. I'll be like, oh yeah, I bought this watch to celebrate my birthday in 9 months, but it's okay.
It happens.
Totally happens. It's fine.
So what are you wearing on the wrist today?
So I have the Grand Seiko. I feel like all of our wrist checks are the
The
exact
same.
same watches over and over and over
Sorry,
again
guys.
now. But it's kind of new because so you have used a gentleman that also our friend Nick from Fierce has recommended a few times, the Strap Tailor on
Mhm.
Instagram for straps. And I have kind of had this idea to, because it has the gray dial, the really kind of brushed case. I really had this idea to bring some color to this watch. And I commissioned a bright ass pink. That's going to be the official name of the color. Bright ass pink leather strap to go on this watch. And it is so bright and so girly aside from this like super masculine case, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love, yeah, I love the combo. I think that you kind of soften the look of the watch up a little bit too with that strap.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got these really
Yeah.
sharp edges and the slate dial, and that pink strap just kind of like softens everything up a little bit, and makes it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm super excited. I love that the lug spacing is 20 millimeters, so I can
Yeah,
wear the same strap on the Speedmaster.
yeah,
I feel like that will be so fun. Yeah, I'm excited. I
yeah.
just want to play around with it a little more. But I like how I like how when I got them in, I sent you photos and you're immediately like, I need to see it on the watch. Because I was just gonna leave it. Like, it
Yeah.
was late. It was like 10. I got home from work. It was like, 9 o'clock. I was tired. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm changing straps. And I'm still so, even though the Grand Seiko has the drilled lugs, I'm still so stressed out about changing. I feel like I'm more stressed out about changing the strap on drilled lugs than I would
No.
be. But yes, because if I that's a really stable hand you have to have there to stick the tool in that little hole on the side of the case, and if I miss just a little bit, I'm gonna scratch the case,
Yeah.
versus a regular spring bar from the backside of the watch. If I scratch it, it's just the backside. I don't really care about
I guess
that,
that makes
but
sense. That makes sense. I just found it so much easier.
oh, it's way easier for damn sure.
Yeah.
And I was such a hater of drilled lugs for the longest time. Don't even understand why. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Just not on the Grand Seiko.
I weirdly like the look of drilled lugs. I know that sounds strange, but I don't know. I find it kind of visually, pleasing for some reason.
Okay, that is strange,
Yeah,
actually.
I know. It's like you don't want a hole there, but there's a hole, and I like it. I might edit that out. We'll see.
It's fine. It's fine. 10 and 2 after dark.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. Talking about porn and holes, and it's all good. Maybe we do edit that part out. I love your laugh right now. How high pitched it is. It's amazing.
Sorry. The later it gets, the higher it gets.
You're like 2 seconds from a snort, and it's gonna be so good.
I know. Oh, I'm so tired that it doesn't take much at all. Oh my god. Okay.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's an awesome watch. That combo is great. Strap Tailor, freaking amazing. If I ever get a
Yeah.
Grand Seiko back in my collection and need a leather strap, he is going to be my go-to guy. So speaking of, other great leather goods, the watch pouch, which is an Instagram handle, his name is Wesley, and he is based in Belgium, I believe. And he was kind enough to send me a pouch, and he put my initials on it, and on the back of the divider, the bracelet divider that's inside of it, he put the 10 and 2 logo, which I thought was really cute.
Oh, shut up. That's
Yeah.
so cute.
So there's this camo leather pouch, which is totally me, and it's just fantastic. I really love it, and I've had it for a while, and we were packing at the time, so it went in a box. I haven't even used it yet, and I'm excited to. But yeah, really cool stuff.
No, that's super awesome.
So let's chat a little bit about So I did a thing.
What'd you do?
I sold my Leica.
So, okay, first of all, we have to admit, because I don't think you've ever
No, I
admitted it on the
did. I did on the
podcast.
Q&A.
You did?
Yeah, I finally
Oh,
admitted
okay.
it. Y'all, I
Kat
was
had
like,
a secret Leica for the longest
I
time
had a
because she
secret
didn't want to
Leica.
be a quote unquote Hodiki person.
No, I didn't want that like stereotype. I really love the camera. It was great, fantastic. Couldn't recommend it enough. Obviously, the price tag is a whole nother thing, but it's fantastic. However, the 28 millimeter on the Leica, even with the macro mode, like it just didn't. It didn't get. I didn't get the compositions that I wanted to get out of it. Not like what I envisioned in my head, because I a lot of times I'll picture a shot that I want to get first before I even go out and do it. I usually have several in mind. I don't just go out there and wing it sometimes. I mean, sometimes I do, but a lot of times I'll think about what I want to get, and then I would go and shoot it, and it's just like every single time it just wasn't coming out the way I wanted to. It wasn't the colors or anything like that. They were great. It was just the composition itself. A lot of it had to do with that 28 millimeter, I think, for just everyday life, for dogs, for people, for all these things. It's a great camera, but for product photography, which is something that I do on the side, I needed something a little different. And so I'm going back to Sony, which I was using before, and still a huge fan of Sony. A little bit more work on the post editing side versus the Leica, because the Leica colors were just freaking phenomenal. It's okay. I'm gonna go back. I liked having that small form factor of the Leica, where you could just, you stick it in your bag, you take it, it's all you need, and I love that. And now I'm kind of going back to Sony, where it's like I have all the lenses, and like which lens do I use, and I'm thinking about getting a zoom lens. I don't know yet, but we'll see, because I do love the prime so much. But I hate having like 3 or 4 lenses in my bag, and then you get to a situation, you're like, which one should I use? And then you feel like maybe you missed out and you didn't use it. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably end up getting a zoom lens. But yeah, I did that this week, and it's a bummer.
I mean, it definitely makes sense, though, because the Leica, it was beautiful. I loved your photos that you were getting out of the Leica. But to have a camera that's that expensive, that doesn't really kind of fit into the majority of what you shoot.
Exactly.
I mean, it definitely makes sense. And especially at this point, maybe in a few years, something like that, you can, be at a point where you have 1 or 2 different Leicas with different lens lengths sitting around. But, when you're balancing, trying to pick up a new watch or, different cameras, things like that, it's almost more practical just to have like one camera that you can do multiple things with than, having a camera that you're stuck with, in one setting. And being stuck with a Leica is not like, it's a very first world problem, to be clear. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard when, you can't really shoot what you want to shoot with it. And the reality that you can't, it's, not like you can have 3 or 4 different Leicas sitting around with their fixed lenses.
It would be my I would want it to be my hobby camera, and I can't afford to have a camera of that price just be my hobby camera right now. I can't. Now, Leica does have they have cameras that, you can have interchangeable lenses on. I just don't want to spend that kind of money right now. I'm not at that level yet. I may at some point one day, because I loved like the user interface of Leica was so easy, so simple. The app on your phone works seamlessly. Sony is just a nightmare. Sony's probably the worst out of every single camera brand. The menu system and everything is just a freaking nightmare. But I know Sony because I've had it for so long, so I feel like it's kind of home for me. And I already have several Sony lenses, so you're kind of bought into that system already. I didn't want to go to Canon or Fuji because I just would have to start completely all over again. And once you're in it, you're kind of in it for a little while until you just sell everything and change. But yeah, it'll be a good upgrade, I think. I've got a really cool, exciting Sony on the way, and I'm excited to see the kind of shots that I'll get, and I'll probably pick up a new lens with that as well. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Nice.
Do you find like you're using because you bought the 16 to 30 or 35?
It's the 18 to 50.
18 to 50. Okay. That's right.
Or 50, yeah.
Are you using that?
I do find that I use, honestly, I don't know if it's like just the life funk that I'm in, but I'm also in a photography funk where I don't take a lot of watch shots lately. I feel like I just need to get out of Nashville and just like be inspired again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen anything outside of the city, and or even just going out in the city. I don't know.
It's
I
hard.
need some inspiration.
I get that
Yeah.
way. I definitely I get in this funk where I just feel so uninspired and so uncreative, and
Mhm.
I don't know what to do. And yeah, it's sometimes it does take a spark of, a trip or just something, even watching a movie that inspired you or reading something to just kind
Yeah.
of kick that back up.
Yeah. But I do I like the zoom lens. So
Yeah.
I started out I bought my kit, the body and a 35 millimeter lens from a friend of ours from Josh here in Nashville who was selling his. And, I trust him as a photographer. This was like what, a year and a half ago when you and I both started kind of getting into photography.
Hmm.
And I really trusted him as a photographer. And, his recommendation was to learn on a fixed lens just so you could really kind of get an idea for settings, things like that, get an idea for what you're doing, and then eventually go to something like a zoom lens. And
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for that. I don't use my fixed lens, like the 35 millimeter lens, as much anymore. I
Hmm.
like the convenience of the zoom lens.
Yeah.
That being said, I do like the way photos with the fixed lens turn out. Like, I don't know what it is because I'm not as deep into photography as I really should be at this
Hmm.
point. But it's the coloring, it's everything just turns out so much different
Yeah.
when you have a fixed lens.
Yeah, a lot of times the prime lenses, they'll be a little bit sharper. The colors may be a
Hmm.
little different. They're a little bit better quality than some of the zoom lenses, unless you get like a really high quality zoom, one of
Yeah.
the top, glass that they have. But yeah, I think that for anyone that's going into photography, because we get asked this a lot, prime is the way to go in the beginning. I like being able to control where I am. I can move forward to my subject. I can move back. I can control it
Hmm.
myself. You just can compose a little bit better. And then I think that
Yeah.
once you kind of learn that, then you can go into zoom and play around with that a little bit. And again,
Yeah.
you just get a better quality photo, I think, using prime, and you're not going to mess it up or anything like that.
Yeah. No,
But
I totally agree.
yeah, I thought we'd chat a little bit about some photography and stuff. And something else I wanted to bring up. I bought this really cool knife, and I've been using it like crazy because we've been moving, and I unloaded like every single box with this knife. It's so it is from Finch Knives, and it's run by the guy that he also, I think, co-owns Raven Watch Company, and Steve Lawlin. And these knives are fantastic. And I'm not really a knife person. Like, I've had knives, I've carried a knife with me, but I've never been like a total knife nerd or anything like that,
Uh huh.
where I don't spend more than like, I don't know, 30-40 bucks max on a knife. This knife was $120, I believe. It is the 1929 model in the Coco Bolo, like the wood grain finish. And it's just such a cool knife. And first of all, I have no affiliation with the brand. I paid full price for the knife, because I really thought, I saw it on Instagram, and I just thought this knife was so cool. I waited months and months and months for it to come back into stock because they were out of stock, and this one was really popular. But it's one of the best made knives that I've ever had. Obviously, like, when you spend that kind of money, you kind of get into a higher quality bar of knives. And I'm excited to hear from listeners. I know a lot of people, I posted a picture on Instagram, and a lot of people reached out saying they also had Finch knives. And I'd like to hear more about your experiences with them, because I'm looking at another model too to pick up. But they're just like, I don't know, they're just, again, it's just like this high quality of the knife and the metal, and like the see, this is why I'm not a knife person. I don't know like the terminology for like when
I
you
was like, I am definitely not a
when you
knife
flip the
person.
knife
So
open, like the action, I guess the action of, the
yeah.
blade, it's just so smooth. And like my husband, he had his like old janky, I don't know, I don't even know what brand, Kerber, or, oh man, I suck at this, but he's got or Kershaw, I think is the name of the freaking watch. This is so late. I'm like losing my mind.
It's fine.
Sorry. Kershaw knife that he has, and he couldn't open it. Like, half the time he was fiddling with it, and here I was with like this nice smooth action knife. He was very jealous. But I really like it. The knife reminds me, I lost my grandfather gave me a knife that was also Coco Bolo, really, really small knife. I don't even know what brand it was. I had it for years and years, lost it in a move, I think when we moved to the last
Oh.
house. And this knife kind of reminded me of him and that knife that I had. So I kind of picked that one based off of that. But yeah, it's just really cool. Do you have any knives at all?
No,
No.
I've never been.
Well, like everyone
I
around
don't
here
know.
carries a knife, basically. Like they're just
I know. I know. Like all of my friends, every time we fly anywhere, or if we go out to a concert downtown, whatever, like
Oh
they're always
no.
like having to they're always having to like change purses because of knives or throw away a knife or something like
Yeah.
that. And I don't know. Like I'm the terrible person who will just use like
Fingernails.
kitchen scissors to open a box, and I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Ask me why none of my like every Christmas when I'm trying to freaking gift wrap, and I'm like, why aren't my scissors sharp? This is why, because I use kitchen scissors for every freaking thing in my
Yeah.
life.
It's
Um,
nice just to have it on you, and like it's small enough to keep in my pocket. It doesn't really bother me sitting down or anything. And
right.
I think I'm gonna try to be like carry it with me, whether I have it in my pocket or I keep it in like my pocketbook, just to have it. I think it's super handy, and
Yeah.
I want to kind of just have it on me all the time. I think it's really cool and something that I
I
spent this
feel
kind
like
of money on. I definitely want to make use of, which I have.
maybe if I spent the money on like a good knife,
Mhm.
I would probably, yeah, I'd probably use it extensively for like
Well,
just to be
they
extra.
have this one called a Runtley, and it looks almost like a box cutter. It's like perfect for opening packages. I think I might pick that one up next because I think it would work a little bit better just for the stuff that I do the most, which is open boxes.
Open boxes.
Because I get like a million
Online shop
Amazon
and open
packages.
boxes.
I do. I mean, hey, why not have a knife on you all the time instead of having to go hunt down something to open it with? But yeah, it is really cool, and I'll probably be picking up another knife from them pretty soon.
Yeah, I think I might start because you've been talking about this knife several times. So I think I might. I don't know. I guess maybe if I could have people send me recommendations for a starter knife.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a thing of like entry level knife. Like
Yeah,
what
I
is
don't
the
even know where to start.
SKX of knives?
Yeah.
Like, give me that.
I just went all
So
out. I
send
spent
me.
like over $100 like first thing. There's probably like better options for the price range. But like these guys, I know like I've heard good things about
Well,
Raven
they're
watches, and like I knew that
yeah,
there was going to be some
exactly.
level of quality there because I know I've only heard good things about the watch brand. So I
Yeah.
know that, same thing with the knives, they were going to be really high quality.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, I've heard of their knives before. I've always heard great things about them. So that might be something that I check out. But I think I will commit to getting into knives. I just don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So please send me a DM if you have like the SKX of the knife world.
Ooh, I'd like to know
And
too.
okay, send it to the tenant. Oh man. I'm gonna hate myself for DMs, but it's fine. Just send it to the 10 and 2D Instagram page, email us, whatever. Send us your recommendations for like entry level knives that aren't like an arm and a leg, but are great quality.
Mhm.
And yeah, let's go. Let's get into knives.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I have to do more like knife oriented things.
It's
You
also really
know,
great for pictures. I will say that.
I
It's a cool thing to add.
whatever.
Just saying.
Do it for the gram. Lord knows I've spent more money on stupid shit to take a picture of,
All the
so it's
props.
fine.
Yeah, it's a usable prop. Those are the best. Not just one like you pull out randomly, which I definitely have. Like I have things just for watch photos. Uh,
I know. I have a drawer of stuff in my house that's like random crap that I buy just for watch photos.
same. I
It's
have like
fine.
3.
It's totally fine, guys. This
Th-
is our lives.
this is our lives. And you know what? Shout out to all the people that are like doing more of these lifestyle shots on Instagram and just using all these great props and
Yes.
either I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the wrist shot. Wrist shots are just great. You can't hardly go wrong with it. They always look good. But yeah, people are being just super creative. I haven't really been on Instagram as much in the last week just because of the move, but I have hopped on there and saw some like really, really great photos. And I know that, Catlin, you usually do kind of our repost every Sunday, and every single week they seem to get better and better and
I
better.
know.
And
I
it's just
know.
amazing some of the photos that people are tagging us in, and I'm just blown away every single week. And it's
For
funny
sure.
because I'll look through them too. I'll look through our tags, and you pick like because we kind of pick our favorites. You pick the same ones like I would pick too.
We're the same person.
We are the same
That's
person.
why. So funny story. I was on, the other night I recorded an episode. Well, I recorded 2 episodes for the Waiting List podcast. They had asked me to be on. I don't know when it'll air, but I'll post about it when it does.
Yeah.
And so they did it like a 10 question, like spitfire, like real fast answer sort of thing at the end of it. In one of the questions, I feel like they're trying to end our podcast, right?
What?
So one of the questions they asked was what do I hate most about my co-host, about you? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, first of all, we're the same fucking person. Like,
How rude.
I mean, literally we're the same person. There's nothing I hate about her. And then I made them go around the room and say what they hate about each other. So that might have been the end of the Waiting List podcast, y'all.
Oh, wow. That's pretty harsh.
Yeah. It may not have been hate. It may have been what do you dislike about.
Okay.
Yeah. But
that we
still,
like all the same
thing.
shit, basically.
Exactly. I have nothing. Guys, we're the same freaking person. So it's fine.
That's actually really tough to answer.
I don't want to know your answer. I don't.
I think honestly like that we just have, because we are the same person, we have the same taste. And then like sometimes
we have the same work ethic. We have the same like we're so similar. It's amazing.
We are sisters from another mister and mom.
Yes, it's thanks for clarifying.
Well, I think people sometimes think that we are related. I mean, I've had that, like I've had DMs like that we're sisters. I'm like, no, we're actually not, but like we basically are.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, it's so funny. So funny.
Yeah,
but I'll have to link up that when it airs.
Yeah, definitely.
It should be fun for sure.
Definitely.
Well, so and another thing that we're kind of getting a little bit more familiar with is we're getting into the pin market.
Yeah.
Ish. Sort of like super excited. So I've always loved this idea. Pin guys are a whole other level of guy, right?
Yeah.
And like I've always loved this idea of having a nice pin, but to me, like I know that I'm gonna lose things. And for me, I enjoy writing and all so much. So like it makes sense for me to have nice pins, but I've been so hesitant. But the guys over at Tactile Turn were so nice enough to send us over a couple of pins that we could test out. And we each got a different pen. So we've each been playing with a different one. So the one that I have is the copper bolt action pen.
Yeah.
Which just sounds like super legit anyways. The way that the action on the pen, right, to engage and disengage a pen is so freaking cool. It has like this whole like kind of swoop thing to it. But it's been super exciting to kind of play with it. And from what I understand, because of it being copper, like it'll just kind of have like a natural patina over time too, which is kind of cool since I'm trying to ease myself into this idea of watch patina. Maybe starting with pen patina is a better way to go.
That's true.
Yeah, and then Kat, you've had one for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, so I've had the titanium, I've had the side click pen, and just super impressed by this thing. It's phenomenally made. They're made in the USA, Texas specifically, and they're all like all the parts and everything are in house, which is as like a watch person that kind of it means a lot. Like everything's made in house, and this pen they're around $99, and that's a lot to spend on a pen. And again, they sent us these models just to kind of test out and see what we thought about them. They know we talk about EDC every now and then on the show, which we obviously brought up today. But I love like the mechanical feeling, and I feel like it's almost like a fidget spinner for me because I'll sit there and I'll click it, and it's just oh man, like when it's like a bezel action. You love to turn the bezel on a watch. I just love to like 100%. Click and unclick this pen over and over and over again. It's just a great feeling in hand, and everything is so well machined on this thing. So mine has got these like little grooves all around the pen, and you can unscrew the bottom to obviously change the ink refill. And when you unscrew it and you screw it back in, I can't tell where that intersection is on the pen. Like it's so like perfectly made. It just blends right in, and just incredibly impressed by these.
Yeah.
It's just great to write with. The titanium is a little bit lighter than yours. I know yours was pretty heavy, but sometimes I like that
Yeah.
heavy pen feels good in your hand. And
I do. I agree, especially because I enjoy I enjoy writing, so I like the heavier pen. But what I also like, I like what you were saying. Like they have these little grooves in there, so that
Mhm.
even whether it's a heavy pen, a light pen, like it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I've done some serious writing with this thing lately, and I've never just felt uncomfortable. It's never felt like the pen was slipping out of my hand or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it's just been really great.
Yeah, and, like, one thing so we were talking about knives, like, I wasn't really a knife person, but I've always been a pen person. I was always that kid in class that had, like, the really nice pens that everyone wanted to borrow,
Ooh,
pens or pencils.
fancy.
Yeah, and, of course, when I got into college, I would buy, like, the whole sets and just every color, and I've just always been someone that likes to write stuff down. I know you're the same way. We both like, I'm trying to go digital now, and it's, like, really hard for me because I like writing
Yeah.
so much, and I do have kind of a creativity notebook that I use for writing stuff that, ideas that I have because I think when you write stuff down, especially when it's stuff that that you have ideas about, I don't know, there's just something different about writing it down versus just typing it in a computer. It doesn't feel the same to me. And I don't know, writing is still my preferred method. I can't read my handwriting a lot of times. That's why I don't use them for my notes. So I do stick to the computer and my iPad for that. But yeah, I don't know. I'll never give that up. I'll never give up writing in a notepad and a little fill notes. I carry it with me everywhere. Always got one in my
Yeah.
pocketbook, in my car. Just you never know when you're gonna need it. But yeah, we've been really impressed by these pens, and so they're doing this really great thing. They're giving our listeners 15% off of their pens, and they've got a mechanical pencil and just a great brand, great people behind it. And so the code is 10 and 2. So TENN and 2, and that'll give you 15% off. Like full disclosure, we do get a little bit of a kickback on these, but there's no pressure. Like we honestly, like we would not recommend this if we didn't fully stand behind the brand. They're
Yeah.
amazing, amazing quality. If you have any questions, reach out to Catlin, reach out to me, reach out to 10 and 2. We'd be happy to answer pictures, videos, whatever. Just could not recommend these pens enough. If you're someone that likes to carry around a pen with you in your pocket, in your bag, whatever, these are they're phenomenal. Great
Yeah.
pens.
Exactly. And like you said, I mean the fact that everything's made in house, like literally everything including springs are made in house. Plus they have a lifetime warranty.
Yeah. And you can
Yeah,
do like
I'm
engravings and
excited.
everything on them too. You can put your
Yeah.
name on them. Yeah, all really cool stuff.
Yeah, all the cool stuff that you would want out of a pen. So I'm excited, and I like that they don't look like one of my problems with getting into the idea of getting into pens is, a lot of them look a little fancy for
Yeah.
me. Like the name Tactile Pen, really describes these pens. Like they're very utilitarian and look,
Very
and I just
EDC, yeah, carry.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I like that. So their website is www.tactileturn.com. I'll put a link in our show notes as well. But yeah, be sure if you're interested in the pens, you like them, and you want a discount, just be sure to use the code 10 and 2 and that'll get you taken care of.
I want to bring this up because you were on Clubhouse, I think this past weekend.
Yes.
And I was hopping on and off as I was unpacking stuff, but you brought up some really great topics. And the main topic of your discussion was just like things that, kind of you disliked or that bothered you or annoyed you or irked you about the watches in general. And just some of these like really
Yeah.
petty things that we all kind of dislike. And
Yeah, the petty things we all like want to talk about but
yeah,
don't talk about because they're petty as fuck.
yeah, it was really
Like
good. I had a good laugh listening to it. There was some really
it
like
went for
great stuff
3
though.
hours long,
Oh,
Kat.
3 hours? Oh my gosh.
And then after that, I had to record this podcast that was 2
Oh,
hours long.
wow. I didn't know
But
it went
no,
on.
it
I
was
think that
great.
was probably on for a good like 45 minutes or so.
Oh, man.
Um,
It was a good chat. And thank you to everybody who popped on because I'd never hosted a Clubhouse meeting
yeah,
before.
I
I'm
was
so
almost gonna
very
like raise my hand. I don't know, like I've never spoken in Clubhouse, so I don't know how things work. I need to like get on and
so
mess with it.
my friend that I was hosting Clubhouse with, it was his idea, but like he hadn't really done it. So, we kind of came together. And then I thought, if we're going to spend, an hour or so complaining about petty things, who else could I bring on other than obviously our dear friend Ricky from
Of
Scottish
course.
Watches? But my friend he was hoping, he asked me earlier that day, he's like, "Is Kat gonna come on?" I said, "I don't know. Like, she's moving, but I'll see what she's doing." And he's like, "Well, good, because I got beef with her." And I was like, "Wait,
What?
what?" His beef is your hatred of the Seamaster bracelet.
Oh.
That's his beef.
I've
So
had yeah, there's a
maybe
couple people that, have reached out and they're like, "I just don't understand." And I think it's just a personal thing, you know? I think
it
what's
is.
uncomfortable for me might be comfortable for someone else, and we all have different wrists and shapes and sizes, but, yeah, I stand by my point.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, and this is something that I really tried to stress during this whole clubhouse like conversation
Mhm,
was once you get outside of reading the physical specs of a watch, the color, the size, the movement, anything like that, the complications, power reserve, everything else is just an opinion.
mhm,
And everybody's got an opinion, and all of our opinions are different. It doesn't mean that there's a right or wrong answer. I just talked today about how I hate the 5711
mhm.
on Instagram, and people are like losing their minds. And I'm like, it's just my opinion, the
Yeah,
end. I don't have to justify my opinion. It's just, that's all it is. And I feel like so many times in this hobby, people think that their opinions are facts,
yeah,
and they're not, guys. Like, you guys listen to us. This is literally, this whole podcast is just two people and their opinions, which is
mhm,
really just the same opinion most of the time. So,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
that's
very
it.
true. I mean, like you said, it's just our opinion. At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong, and you can stand by your opinion. You can stand by how you feel about a watch. There's nothing wrong with that. I will stand by the fact that I think the Seamaster bracelet is shitty because I've had Speedmasters in my collection. I've had several. Also had Seamasters in my collection, previous models from older generations of it that were better made. The bracelet was better made. The watch wasn't per se, but the bracelet was better. It felt better on the wrist, and I I just feel like this one is not as well made as the other ones are, and, there's definitely some upgrades that they can do to make it better. I'm not saying the watch is bad. The bracelet is definitely let down to the case. I stand by my case on that.
You know what? Speaking of bracelets and Seamasters,
Ooh,
ooh, I'm
ooh,
gonna actually segue into more Rachi content.
yay.
So, so there really have been actually quite a few new releases lately, and we haven't really talked about new releases on an episode for a little
We
while.
haven't.
And seeing as how we're almost 40 minutes into this episode, we're probably not going to talk about a lot of new releases this time either. But I really want to talk about the new Diver 300 meter that Omega just released. That is the newest edition for the 2021 America's Cup. And the reason that I really want to talk about, yeah, you guys could get on, oh, it's another Omega limited edition, but it's not limited edition. It's probably going to be limited production though, because that would make sense.
Yeah.
But this is the very first time we see from Omega, they have a quick release bracelet and
Mhm.
rubber strap.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to see this function on this watch.
Yeah, well, I
So
think
excited.
we've seen, you've brought up the fact in the past, like micro brands are doing it. Why aren't the bigger guys doing this technology? They have the means to do it. They have the means to design something like this, and I don't know that I can say that Omega's the first like big brand to do it because I just don't
Yeah,
know. But it's
they're
great.
not, but it's nice to finally see it from a brand like Omega for
So
sure.
mainstream for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of my favorite things about this watch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so it functions, it's proprietary. So however Omega has it set up, it's proprietary to them. And it's patented. So I'd imagine there has to be something a little bit more special about
Hmm.
this particular push button release. I know, when I was in Las Vegas a couple years ago,
Oh yeah.
Hublot does this on several of their watches, and I
Hmm.
thought that was super cool. So it looks like it's just a push button. But what I love about this is once you take the bracelet off, it's still like a traditional drill or traditional lug holes,
Mhm.
so you can still kind of interchange the strap with non-OEM straps,
Yeah.
which I think is one of the big concerns about when you have these sorts of quick release bracelets and straps is that they're kind of integrated in a weird way where you're basically stuck with just those options.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have that. My concern would be obviously like, it's a newer technology, very curious to see how it's done. I doubt Omega cut any corners. I'm sure it's phenomenal. But like I've always wondered about the integrity, like long-term integrity of these quick release bracelets, especially in a sports watch where it's something that you're expected to be able to just do anything in this watch, how easy it might be to accidentally push up against that bracelet. What happens if one of the ends of the spring bars, if you were to damage it or break it, I'm pretty sure you basically have to buy a brand new bracelet, and that is hella expensive.
Yeah.
So I do wonder about the long-term integrity of it. But other than that, I mean, the watch has some really cool features. I hope that they put that technology in more of their watches. This so far, it's the Diver 300-meter chronograph, so it's 44 millimeters, which won't fit most Seamasters. But if you happen to have a Diver 300 chronograph, the new ones, then this should fit just fine. But the pushers are rubberized, which I think is super cool, especially for a watch that's supposed to be able to be operated underwater.
Mhm.
The rubber pushers are supposed to be easier to operate, and it has a chronograph guard. Did you see that over
Yeah.
at the yeah, so it has like a lock for the chronograph, which I had a few people ask like why that matters, but if you were actually diving and timing something, or in this case, like with the regatta, with regatta racing, timing is super critical. That's why
Mhm.
you have a 15-minute counter there at the 3 o'clock subdial, because you have basically 5-minute intervals to get into position for the race to start. And if you miss those certain marks, you're out of the race, no
Yeah.
questions asked. So it's very important. And to be able to lock the chronograph so that you can't accidentally push it is a super cool functionality to it,
Yeah.
I think. I'm curious to see how it looks in person though, because a lot of people hate on the helium escape valve, which I don't mind. But then you also have like this like sliding button now on the left hand side of the watch too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to
So
me it looks a little busy just with the helium escape valve, the new locking system, and then you have the red and blue pushers on the opposite side. It's a lot. I think that I could do I mean, obviously I think a lot of people can do without the helium escape valve. I think that like
haters.
well, and I honestly like I don't even think about it when I wear my Seamaster, but like looking at this because there is so much other stuff going on, it does kind of stand out to me. And I think that with this watch, the kind of the purpose was the America's Cup. They're going to be using it for sailing. Now, yeah, these guys sometimes I mean, I would assume that there's times that they fly off into the water. Perhaps it seems like that's kind of a dangerous thing. They're obviously in water, but getting splashed on and everything else. I don't know that they're diving deep enough to need the helium escape valve. So like, I feel like they could have just done away with that, especially on this chronograph model. But it's there when we have to deal with it. It's still a really great looking watch. I think it's fantastic, and I love that like pop of red on the subdial and on that chrono pusher. It looks really cool. But
Yeah.
I have to admit that it just seems a little busy for my personal taste. But yeah, the
I could see that.
bracelet mechanism changing the straps is phenomenal. Like you said, I hope that Omega does this with more of their models. We've talked about, having women more attracted to, pieces like, can you imagine if they did this on the Aquaterra line and if they did it on, the other Seamaster line and how, like, a big thing for women is being able to change straps depending on what they're wearing. And I think a lot of women are
Mhm.
intimidated by doing that because they don't know how. And even though changing a strap, I know a lot of people that are they would even guys that don't wanna do it. They wanna take their watch to a dealer or an AD to get that done, and that's totally fine. But being able to do this at home, I think is gonna be a huge game changer. I think you're gonna open up your watches to a lot more people. So, yeah, let's hope
Yeah.
that we see this more often.
No, I definitely agree. I think we had talked about it before, but I mean, the Apple Watch changed the way that people wear watches.
Oh, and it's so
I have an
satisfying
Apple Watch.
too. that like
Yeah,
click,
it's
that magnetic
I
click.
know.
Ooh,
It is, like, really nice changing this.
yeah.
Like, I don't change the straps out on mine because I just like to keep mine very neutral. It's like
Mhm.
the Apple Watch for me is a tool, it's not my watch. But for people who wear it as a watch, like, having that option, I have so many friends who have an Apple Watch, and they love being able to change it out based off of their outfits, both guy friends and girlfriends of mine. So, to see more watch brands embrace this, it's genius. You've seen Omega really kind of embracing straps in general in more recent years, right? Like they have a huge selection of NATO straps. But then like they just recently online launched like where you can buy watch straps online straight from Omega. So now to have this, like I feel like this is a really great step in the right direction for the brand and for watches in general. It needs to start happening. It needs to be a much more commonplace. But I know that you said it looks a little busy, and I kind of agree. There's like a lot going on. One of the things I thought was super cool though, and one of my beefs about the Omega in-house chronograph movement is the 3 o'clock subdial is essentially both your minute and second hand, or sorry, your minute and hour hand for the chronograph, right? But here at the 3 o'clock, you have your minute hand, which is the big red hand, and then you have an hour wheel in the chronograph subdial. So
Mhm.
it makes it so much easier to read. And I think that kind of really helps clean it up a little bit. And I'm excited to see that too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, guys, Grand Seiko released like 18,000 watches.
For real.
So did Seiko.
For real.
So did Seiko. We are not breaking down all the releases.
No,
Y'all,
no.
honestly, I haven't even seen, like, and we were on the press, like, the press event, the
Mhm.
digital conferences for them. And it's a lot. You know, I feel like in 2020, we almost got a little bit spoiled with
Mhm.
this idea that brands don't release things on a schedule anymore. Brands release stuff sparingly throughout the year, and it's not just one dump of, here's all of our releases for the year. And genuinely, I really enjoyed that. I felt like you could enjoy the watches more. I could not tell you more than 2 or 3 Grand Seikos that were released in the last week because there's so many
Mhm.
of them. And the same with Seiko. But like I can tell you so many other watches that have been released this year, even by the same brand, because it was spaced out a little bit. And
Yeah.
it's just, I'm very overwhelmed right now.
It is a little overwhelming and they have even more coming out later on this year too. They
I
they haven't even
know.
released everything yet. So they're packing a big punch this year, which is a good thing because I'm not going to hate on more Grand Seikos being released. I'm a huge fan of the brand, and I will say, we were fortunate enough and honored to be a part of the media and get to see these releases prior to them being released. And
Mm-hmm.
we were both talking to each other about the fact that like their presentation, just even the digital aspect of it was
Oh, yeah.
so good. Like they were on point. Grand Seiko does not mess around. Like it was so professional and just I was really really impressed. I think especially as we got to see some of the digital offerings last year with Watches and Wonders, and it was kind of like being let down a little bit. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
as special as I thought it was going to be. But like, and granted, this Grand Seiko thing was not open to the public, but I mean, it was just the digital. I don't know. The digital effects were just so good, and I guess you just wouldn't expect
Well,
anything less. I
right.
remember we were just
Well,
like
and to
texting
be
each other during it. We're like, "Wow."
Yes. But to be fair for Watches and Wonders expected an in-person event,
Yeah.
and they had maybe 2 months to like get their shit together and
Yeah, and
pull off this
I'm not
digital
hating. I'm not
platform.
hating on them at
I
all.
do have high expectations this year. I'm
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I do. For Watches and Wonders and for any other digital event, you've had a year to really work on it, and I think that you have to do something to make it worth the time of having people spend, hours on your website. Great for the Grand Seiko thing, for the Grand Seiko and Seiko releases, the digital events. We were online like for several hours,
Yeah.
within a 2-day span, but it kept our attention the entire time. The presentations were very good. It's basically what you expect out of Grand Seiko, but Since we're not going into all of the releases, what's like one or two of the standout releases for you?
Well, I definitely like the GMTs that they, came out with that are the new, like, season collection, basically, and they're all different
Mhm.
ones, and we both kinda learned that well, I didn't know that they had more than 12 seasons, which was something new that I discovered, and I know that you
No.
did too, and, it came as a great surprise because 'cause you're like, "Oh, well, great, now there's gonna be even more seasons," and my favorite was, it's so I'll say the reference, it's SBGJ249, and it's the Show, which is the like, I think they call it, like, the midsummer or the high summer, I'm sorry, high summer, and it's got this wave pattern on it. Still not any more water resistance, which is fine. I'll let it slide, I'll let it slide because the watch is so
Okay.
beautiful. It's almost
Okay.
got the same texture as the new, like, the birch, this white birch dial that we're seeing in the other Grand Seiko, and I can't remember the reference number on that one, but it's horizontal this time, and it's a little bit more blue, but I can see that it has the same kinda texture. I'm really interested to see it in person. I
Yeah.
think this bracelet that they put on this one looks really good. Grand Seiko had another bracelet on these GMTs. Hodinkee launched their model that came on a bracelet. It's like an oyster style bracelet, but this one looks really, really good. I like the little polishing because I felt like the oyster style, it was all brushed and then you had this high polished case and it was like something was just off. Now with this one,
Right.
you've got those little, I don't know what you call them. They're like that mid center link. God, I wish I could think of
It
the name of
reminds
it.
me of like the Speedmaster
Yeah, it looks like a
bracelet.
Speedmaster bracelet
Mhm.
essentially, and, yeah, it looks really good on it, and I'm excited to see these in person. I think 2 of them are gonna be released in May, the other 2 will be released in November, but these were standout for me. I'm excited to see more of the seasons, and, yeah, I think the green is actually really phenomenal too. I'm not hating on that one at all,
Yeah.
but those were probably the ones that were my favorite. What about you?
Yeah, well, and I agree. I liked the new seasons collection. I like that this seasons collection is available worldwide. I think Grand Seiko, really, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, during their presentation, they mentioned that the demand was much higher than they would have ever thought for the original four seasons. So they did make this a worldwide distribution. It was interesting to learn that in Japanese culture there are 24 seasons. So yeah, I feel like Tennessee has 24 seasons, like, during winter, but,
Pretty much.
yeah, basically. And they're great. They look beautiful. The dials are everything you expect from Grand Seiko. I was kind of obsessed until I found out that it's set in platinum, and I think I texted you, like, a frowny face. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce it too much. So it's the tree rings, limited edition.
Oh, yeah.
So this has a stunning black dial. It does have their new high beat movement in it, but the dial is reminiscent of like tree rings, which I always find fascinating, anyways. And it's stunning. Also, it's in platinum, so never gonna happen.
Oh, no.
And I think it's pretty limited edition. It's limited to 140 pieces, priced at the very inexpensive price of $60,000. So,
Oof.
um, it hurts a little, but it's so pretty.
It's beautiful.
You know, I do like Grand Seiko. It looks like they've really kind of redesigned their case shapes and kind of paid attention to that. So I think it should be interesting to see kind of what else they come out with. And this is something that we've kind of talked about a few times, and we've talked about off air, and it's been a topic of conversation in general. Is the new Grand Seiko pricing? Given there is a new movement that's involved, I don't think we ever talked about the white birch
Mhm.
on the podcast either.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where my shock originally was.
Mhm.
I fell in love with the press pictures of this watch, and then scrolled down and saw the price and was like, what the hell? Like, this is Grand Seiko. What's going on? And was very shocked. And I know that it's because of their movement. I do understand that. But my concern is Grand Seiko might be pricing themselves too high too soon.
Mhm.
I think when you really look between that $7,000 and $10,000 price point, there's a lot of major competition.
Yeah.
And Grand Seiko has kind of built themselves up over the last few years as being a great, like, $3,000 to $5,000 price point watch. I'm not saying their watches aren't worth that much money,
Mhm.
right? Anybody who's owned a Grand Seiko knows how beautiful they are. But at the end of the day, Grand Seiko is really I don't believe that they have a strong enough foundation yet to
Mhm.
put themselves at that sort of price point. I think it's something that they can build up to, but my concern for the brand I mean, again, this is all just opinion, is that they're trying to move up too soon, too quickly.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. There was a watch that came out maybe a month or so back, and it was a 9F quartz movement. It was an anti-magnetic watch, and I was really disappointed in the price. It was like super high. I think it was, I mean, it was over 3 grand, and it was for the 9F quartz, and I was just like, it's hard. It's tough because you want them to be the alternative, the cheaper, maybe not cheap. Cheaper is not the greatest word to use. Maybe more affordable alternative to, Rolex and Omega. And now that their prices are so much, obviously higher than those other brands are,
Mhm.
and yes, they have history, but not a history that everyone knows about. And I think it does make it a tough choice now when they're getting into this higher price point. And we talked about it with Seiko. Seiko's doing the same thing, and,
Mhm.
I love Seiko. I've loved Seiko since Seiko brought me into this hobby basically. And, I hate that these watches are getting out of the entry level price point now for collectors that are wanting, or new hobby, or, new hobbyists. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna go over. I know that there's ADs that are giving a big discount on these watches. Some of them you're not going to get, but yeah, it does annoy me a little bit that they are reaching that price. And again, the quality is there. We're both not saying that the quality isn't there. The movement
Right.
is phenomenal, but it's a hard buy for people. Like we know the kind of work that's put into it. But if you're looking at the outside world and you go into a boutique and you see Grand Seiko and then you see Rolex and you see Omega, like why buy a Grand Seiko? They don't know why you should buy a Grand Seiko, and then you've got this price point. It's like, why not? Well, a
Yeah.
Rolex is cheaper, and Omega is cheaper. Why not buy one of
Right.
those brands? And maybe that's their goal. Maybe they want to be beyond those brands and move into this higher price point. And that's fine. Like you said, it's kind of a big jump. Like it was like you're kind of down here. You had a few pieces that were a little bit more high horology, and then now all of a sudden you were seeing more and more and more and more pieces over that 5 grand, 6 grand range. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm still a fan of the brand. I'm still probably gonna buy many and have them in my collection, but I don't know. That's a great
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years. I hope that they stick around. I really do. I think the brand is doing phenomenal things.
Hmm.
But like what you were saying, for people who don't know the brand, there's a whole lot of options to choose from, and I just don't know that they have that sort of recognition to be able to say, to a complete stranger, somebody new into watches in general, hey, I'm worth just as much, if not more than, the Omega, the Rolex, the Tag, the Cartier, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
the names that people automatically recognize.
Hmm.
So, and then even for people who are in this hobby, there's a lot of people who still struggle with the fact that Seiko is on the dial.
Hmm.
To be clear, don't come at us, guys. We are not those people. But that is a reality. You can get in any watch forum, in any Facebook group, in any conversation, and there's that guy who's, "Oh, but it still says Seiko."
Yeah.
And, I think Grand Seiko still has a little bit to prove. Yeah, they have this amazing history. They really do. But that history is based in Japan. And
Hmm.
when you're looking at an international marketplace, I'm sure there are quite a few markets who are much more familiar with Grand Seiko. But when you come to, the US and European markets, it's still a relatively new brand for us. But we'll see. We could be wrong because during this presentation, we learned that Grand Seiko is the number 4, watch brand in the US.
Hmm.
So we could just be freaking idiots and not know
Well,
anything.
and they've
Who
done a
knows?
great job of making a name for themselves, and I've heard for
Mhm.
years people tell me and others, like, if you want a Grand Seiko, you better buy one now. Like, buy one while you
Yeah.
can, because they're right. Like, they're making watches that are so phenomenal, they're not gonna stay at this price point for long. So and that's what we're seeing, happening right now. So, yeah, kudos for Grand Seiko to make a name for themselves in the last few years. And, they're all over the forums, they're all over Instagram and social media. We're starting, heck, they're even in Nashville now, which is crazy and awesome at the same
Mhm.
time. And, I'm glad. Yeah, that was like really surprising to hear they were number 4 brand, but wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. That makes me happy because like we know the value that's in a Grand Seiko, and we feel like they're such a niche brand, but it's like, well, they're not really. Like, people know about them. So
Yeah,
that's really cool.
most definitely.
Well, then I guess let's talk about one more before we close out the show. And this was a really, really cool watch that came out this week. I know we're both super fans of this one. And this is the Oris Cherry Dial or Aquas. I can't fucking talk. This is the Oris Aquas Date Cherry in a 41.5 dial or case. I'm losing it.
You
But
got this.
we're
You
almost
got
there.
this.
We're almost at the end. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a rough week.
It's been a long week.
10 and 2 after
y'all.
dark. It's happening.
10 and 2 after dark. Oh, we're tired. We're stressed. This is what you guys get. Sorry.
This Oris.
The night before the episode goes out.
Oh yeah, it's fine. All is fine. Yep.
But yeah, so the new Oris cherry, it's called a cherry, right?
Yeah, it is a cherry.
Again. All right, so the new cherry aquas. I'm excited for this for so many reasons. So first of all, for right now, it's only available through Hodinkee Shop.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in a couple of weeks, it's going to be available through Oris website, your AD, whatever.
Yeah.
But so we had in the Moser Pioneer red dial for a couple of weeks, and we got an extra week because of the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was smitten. I never in my life considered a red
so
dial,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm kind of obsessed now with this idea of red.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously I'm not obsessed with the price point of a Moser right now in my life. One day, but not right now.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been like on this search to look for red dial watches.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Oris just drops this watch. Absolutely beautiful. Like Kat said, it's like the 41.5 millimeter case, has this beautiful cherry, like deep cherry red. And then I do love that instead of trying to color match the bezel to the dial, I don't think they would have ever been able to pull that off, right?
And it would have been too
such a
much,
pretty-
I feel like, too.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's just a stainless steel bezel, and absolutely love it. It has all the same specs as any other Oris Aquas does. It does not have the in-house movement, which though. I mean, I have a non-in-house. Both of us have non-in-house Oris movements.
Yeah.
In our watches, and they're absolutely fine. But yeah, I am excited. I want to see this in person so badly.
I do too. Yeah, I love. Yeah, like you said, the dial is just it's really, really deep and rich, and I want to see what it looks like in person, because photos can usually, they tell one story, and then you see the watch and it can look completely different. So I am excited to see this one in person. I love this bezel. It's one of my favorites. It's the one they use on the relief, the Aquas relief, and I think it's only used a couple of times, but they've actually used it in this model. I think this might be the first one that is not a relief it's used on. But it's like 3D printed. It's raised. It's also kind of got a like rough textured finish to it. So it's not like really smooth and shiny. That I really like that as well. And it gives it a really sporty vibe to what is kind of a dressy dial on its diver. But yeah, Oris is really killing it lately with their dial colors. And I don't normally look to Oris for like, these huge dynamic colors.
Dials.
Yeah, they are playing with colors more now, and we know kind of what's to come too, and we're really excited about it. But Oris is just really killing it, and it seems like every single model they put out is it's awesome, and we're huge fans of the brand, obviously. I can't wait to see this one. 41.5 is also a really good size. You have the, what is yours, a 38 or 39?
No, I think mine's the 41.5.
Yours is a 41.5? Okay.
Hang on. I'm Googling. Just give me 2 seconds. Because I was looking at the smaller sizes and I couldn't.
You thought it was going to be too small.
Well, because that was my whole problem when I was first looking for an Oris was I love the watches, but the sizes were off. Like everything was either like a 36 millimeter or 38 millimeter, or it was like the 44 millimeter, and I just couldn't quite pull that. Oh, mine is 39.5.
Okay. So a little bit smaller, but still, I still think this one is doable. I think the 41 is definitely wearable on many, many wrists. Because I think even yours wears a little on the small side. So
I agree. Mine could be a little bit bigger. So
it could be.
I think that this size is going to be pretty much perfect.
It's just stunning. I could stare at these photos all day, like just the dial, and it's not a color that like a lot of people play with either. Because like you said, red it's very bold. You have to get it just right. Yeah, they nailed it. There's a photo on the Hodinkee website, and I don't know if this is a Hodinkee photo or Oris photo, but it's got this woman wearing the watch, and she's got the same red color nails as the dial color. I think it's perfect.
I feel like you have to.
Yeah, you
Like,
gotta
if you're a
match,
woman
right?
wearing that watch, I feel like you have to wear red lipstick and have your nails red.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's like a whole mood.
Oh,
All right, guys. I think that's going to be the end of our episode. I know we ran a little long this week, but thanks for
sorry.
tuning in. We have some super exciting stuff coming up, y'all.
Yes. Lots of
legit.
great interviews. We're gonna have just a
So many
phenomenal
great
group of
guests.
people. Yeah,
Yes.
just the lineup is
Yeah.
is really awesome.
Yep. So be sure to stay on top of everything. Be sure you're subscribed to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. That way you get the alerts when we have a new episode. Be sure to follow us along on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at 10 and 2 Media. And head over to our website, www.tennand2.com for show notes and all that other fun stuff. And until next time, that's all.
Bye.
Bye.